What's up everybody? Chris back with Two Vets Outdoors. Got video number 6 for you today. In today's video, we're gonna go ahead and do the paper tuning on the bow. And I also got my chronograph set up, so we're gonna go ahead and take a couple shots in there just to see what my speeds are gonna be. Before I end up doing the paper tuning, I'm gonna go ahead and take a couple shots without the chronograph, without the paper tune, just so I can make sure that my sight level is gonna be squared away before I do too much. All right, so we could see there that those shots ended up being pretty good. I'm good as far as elevation goes. I need to work on the windage a little bit, but for the most part, I'm all squared away. So I just need to turn my chrono on. Go ahead and get an arrow in here. So 258 feet per second. 258 feet per second. And 258 feet per second. All right, so I'm shooting through this bow right now. I'm shooting the Easton FMJ 5mm arrows, and they're in the 300 spine with 125 grain field tip up front. They're weighing in right at 559 grains. I think one of them was like 559.2, so they're all relatively exactly the same, and therefore I was getting the exact same feet per second out of here, which was 258 feet per second. So I'm pretty happy with that right now. I may play around with it later, but either way, I'm gonna go ahead and press on with paper tuning. All right, I got my paper tuning kit all set up, so now I'm ready to go ahead with my first arrow. And I'm gonna do the oval on the left-hand side with this first arrow. And then on with the second arrow, I'm gonna do the middle oval. And with the third arrow, I'm gonna do the right-hand oval. All right, so if I'm reading this correctly, so the oval over here on the left-hand side, it looks like I have a tail right tear, and then a tail right tear, and a tail right tear. So what that's telling me on this little kit down here, if I have tail right, is that I need to move my arrow rest to the left to correct it. So I'm going to take my Trinity Pro rest, I'm going to move it to the left, and that should correct that tail right tear. All right, I got my sight moved to the left. I just went ahead and moved one full notch to the left, and now we're going to go ahead and do 3 more. I put a new sheet of paper into the paper tuning system. So fresh paper, 3 more shots, here we go. Shot number 1 so far, looks like it is still tail right a little bit. Shot number 2 looks like it is also tail right a little bit. And shot 3 looks like it's also tail right a little bit. So I'm going to take those 3 and I'm going to go make one more adjustment. I'm going to move my sight a little more to the left. All right, I made another adjustment. And because the tail right on the second round of shots was not as bad as the first round, I went ahead and only moved it a half of a hash mark for the second go around, because it came so far, or it came pretty close with doing a full hash mark. So this time we're gonna do just a half hash mark. And here's first shot on the oval on the left. Oh yeah, I think we are good to go. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Do these other 2 shots real quick, see how it turned out. Yep, we are good to go. I do not need to make any more adjustments. So let's take a look and see how these shots went. So I have sheet number 1 here, and what we can see is that I have a hard tail right tear. That's my tail going tail right, and that's from this picture down here. It says tail right tear, and that's exactly what I got. My 2 veins are over here on the right hand side, and then there's a massive tear to the left. And you could argue that it's also going a little bit up and to the left, but I just want to concentrate on one thing at a time. So I just concentrated on the tail right. So I went ahead and moved my arrow rest to the left to correct it. When I made that correction, the first correction on my rest, because that was such a far tear right on the paper, I went ahead, there's little notches on the back of the Hamskea Trinity Pro rest. I went ahead and moved it an entire hash mark, or 1 marking. So I moved it 1 full marking, and it brought it a significant distance to the left. And then when I came to the left with my rest, it ended up correcting quite a bit. So let's look at sheet number 2. So on sheet number 2, we can see that I had just a little bit of tail right. Not too bad at all. All right, so that was just a little bit of tail right. So I needed to make 1 more correction. So instead of going 1 full hash mark to the left, I went a half of a hash mark to the left. And then because I went a half of a hash mark to the left, I ended up pretty dang good. I'm extremely happy with this for right now. I'm still kind of working on maybe some arrows and some arrow setups. I'm not 100% convinced that I'm going to run with the Easton FMJ 5mm. But for now, any other arrow I choose, this will get me pretty close. So extremely happy with this product. Extremely happy with how the bow is acting. On the next episode, we're going to go ahead and sight it in. So I'm going to sight in my 20, get my sight tape on there, and then walk back and do my sight in out to 60. So stay tuned for that episode. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that bell notification. And then again, like I said in the previous video, share this with your friends so that they can learn something too, and they can get a kind of a review to see how these products work. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Don't forget, be a good predator.